It's an adventure. So keep on reading that book.
So let's see what we're going to do today in reading. I can use strategies to monitor and clarify to support understanding. Oh, those are a lot of kind of some big and crazy words. Monitor and clarify, if we look over here, it says to pay attention as you read. If something doesn't make sense, try these things to help you understand. So we kind of talked a little bit about it. If I read something and I don't understand it, I need to back up and I need to reread it. So that's kind of monitoring and clarifying. You can reread something. You can maybe connect it to something you already know. If they're going to the beach, maybe you can be like, oh, I've been to the beach, and you can make a connection to help you understand better. Another is ask questions. Remember, we already talked about that. We don't want to be what kind of reader? We don't want to be a zombie reader who just sits there. Okay? And then visual cues. Use the pictures to help you understand. Maybe you don't know what a word is. Maybe a picture is going to give you a hint as to what that word is. So we're going to be using all of these to make sure we understand what's going on in our story today. But first, I have a question for you to think about. So, what do you do when you don't understand something? Okay, what do you do? Maybe your mom and dad ask you to do something and you don't understand, or maybe here at school you don't understand. What are some things that you already do when you don't understand something? Maybe you're already doing some of the monitor and clarify skills. Let's think about that. Now we're going to talk about it. So get with your talking buddy and go ahead and tell them, when I don't understand, I blank. Tell your talking buddy, what do you do when you don't understand something? So now it's time for us to read our story, Spoon. And our purpose for reading today is to check our understanding of the story and reread if we don't. So the great thing for you guys at home, if you don't understand something, what can you do? Pause the video and rewind. That's like your rereading. Okay? Maybe you need to pause the video and ask mom and dad some questions. Whatever works for you, but be thinking as we're reading, asking questions, rereading, all that stuff. So we're going to be watching the video, but you can also follow along in your My Book on page 41, and we're going to read all the way to 58 in your My Book. So maybe go ahead and get your My Book out so we can get ready to watch and read Spoon.
By Amy Krauss Rosenthal. Illustrated by Scott Magoon. This is Spoon. This is Spoon's family. On Sundays, Spoon goes to visit his Aunt Silver. He has to be on his very best behavior there. She's very fancy and proper. Goodbye, darling. Ta-ta. At bedtime, Spoon likes to hear the story about his adventurous great-grandmother who fell in love with a dish and ran off to a distant land. Lately, though, Spoon had been feeling blue. "What's wrong?" asked his mother. "You look a bit out of shape." "Nothing," mumbled Spoon. "It's just that, I don't know, all my friends have it so much better than me. Like Knife. Knife is so lucky. He gets to cut, he gets to spread. I never get to cut or spread." "Yes, Knife is pretty spiffy that way, isn't he?" "And Fork. Fork is so lucky. She gets to go practically everywhere. I bet she never goes stir-crazy like I do." "Fork does get out and make herself useful, doesn't she?" "And Chopsticks. They are so lucky. Everyone thinks they're really cool and exotic. No one thinks I'm cool or exotic." "Those Chopsticks are something else, aren't they?" Meanwhile, if only Spoon knew what his friends were saying at that very minute. "Spoon is so lucky," said Knife. "He's so fun and easygoing. Everyone's so serious with me. No one's ever allowed to be silly with me like they are with Spoon." Clang, clang, bang. "Spoon is so lucky," said Fork. He gets to measure stuff. No one ever does that with me. Spoon is so lucky, said Chopsticks. He can go places by himself. We could never function apart. That night, after bedtime stories, Spoon's mom turned off the light, tucked him in, and said, "You know, Spoon, I wonder if you realize just how lucky you are. Your friends will never know the joy of diving headfirst into a bowl of ice cream. They'll never know what it feels like to clink against the side of a cereal bowl. They'll never be able to twirl around in a mug or relax in a hot cup of tea." Spoon hadn't thought of it that way before. He lay awake in bed for a long time. His mind was racing. He felt so alive. There was only one thing to do. "I can't sleep. Come snuggle. Come, Spoon."
Seconds.
And so he did.
What did you do when you came to a part of the story you didn't understand? So what did you do? Did you maybe make a connection? Did you ask a question? Did you go back and reread or rewatch the story? What is something that you did? Think about that for a second. So now again, get that talking buddy out, and I want you to tell them, what did you do? When I didn't understand something, I blanked. Maybe it was something different than you did earlier. Maybe you did that exact same thing. That's okay. So just be thinking, what did you do in our story today if you didn't understand something? Now it's time for our writing portion. I will write in a complete sentence to answer the question. Now remember, I've said this all week. A complete sentence has what at the beginning and what at the end? Perfect. Make sure you're adding those. Make sure you have your nouns. We've been talking about nouns in grammar. Make sure you're including those. Remember, what happens if it's a proper noun? A proper noun needs a what? A capital letter. So those are the things that as I know you start to learn stuff in grammar, I'm going to be looking for it in your writing as well. So be working on that. So today I want you to think, which details in the words and pictures help you understand why Spoon feels better at the end of the story? That's a lot to think about. So let's think, how did Spoon feel at the beginning? Not so good, right? But how did Spoon feel at the end of the story? Okay, why do we know that Spoon feels different at the beginning than the end? What helped us? Were there words that helped you, or did the pictures help you? You tell me, what helped you understand the story better? So you can use this sentence in. So you can start writing, what helped me was blank, and then tell me why. That's a big thing in second grade. Tell me, why did that help you? Okay? So when you're ready, you're going to go ahead and write. You can choose to write it on page 60 and take a picture of it and upload it to Schoology, or you can choose to type your answer in. Whatever works best for you.
Open that book, yeah, and have a look. It's an adventure. So keep on reading that book.